Thanks for tuning in to Chats with Your Self-Worth BFF. This is your host, Michaela Falar, where we are here to skyrocket your self-worth, heal your shit, and take your power back. Welcome to the chat. Hey guys, welcome back to Chats with Your Self-Worth BFF. This is your host, Michaela Falar, here with our amazing special guest and one of my close friends here, Danielle McCleerey. Danielle is a quantum business coach. She is a mentor of mine personally. She has been growing her business, growing her network for over a decade, and growing her business personally with coaching, specifically what she's doing currently for how long? 3 years? 2 years now?
Yeah, about three.
3 years. 3 years now. Crazy.
Mhm.
Time flies when we're having fun. But I wanted to have Danielle on just to kind of share her personal story. I think that it will really be something beneficial for you guys to hear because it's been always such an inspiration to watch Danielle move the way that she does, as she says, fire levitating across the field. And that could not be more on brand and on point for who she is as a person, as a mentor, as a coach, as a friend, as a mom, as a wife. So I love her and I'm super excited to have her on and for you guys to hear about her story and get so much juicy content from this however long episode it ends up being. But we'll get started. Danielle, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself too. So go ahead.
4 days later, the episode is still going. Um, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited that you started a podcast and to kind of get to be a guest on it. I feel like I was there when we were talking about you starting a podcast. Like we had so many chats about it. And so to be on your podcast is such a gift and such a full circle moment. So I'm excited to be here.
Totally.
You really just summed up me really well. You summed up me better than I sum up me, I feel like. Yeah, I'm Danielle. I'm a lot of things, but mostly I guess like who I am is uh like when people say like who are you? Like I'm a truth sayer. Like that's what I am. And I used to be a truth seeker and I still am a truth seeker, but I would say I'm a truth sayer and that is what I do professionally. That's what I do in my family. That's what I do in a lot of places and a lot of what I do is just really based around like the idea that as humans, we are all part of a conscious collective and peace and freedom are our birthright. So that's me.
Love that. I love that. And that's just like the way that she introduces herself just goes to show how in depth that this conversation is about to get. If you are here for the spirituality, for the woo woo, for the intuitive talks, for the real life shit, not that fake shit that a lot of people do talk about, like we're about to get real, then you are in the right spot.
I feel
So,
like nobody listens to your show who's not.
no, exactly. Like
I feel
only the
like,
people, like,
yeah, I mean,
that's
I feel like they
insane.
have to be pretty down with the woo to be here anyway. So let's just give the people what they
100%.
want.
Exactly. That's why I was like, I have to have Danielle on. Like, I wonder if she'd be down. And you're like, absolutely. And I was like, hell yeah, let's
Duh.
go.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah, you literally said
Get a
duh.
chance to talk about myself? Let's go. I'm so excited.
I love it. I love it.
My
Okay.
midheaven in Leo is really, really happy right now.
Oh, astrology too. She's like the astrology human design queen. Okay, let's just get straight. Let's just jump into it.
Let's go.
Um, I kind of want to start off by I mentioned that you have been growing your network for the last decade, over the
Mhm.
last decade, and
Mhm.
how that started was you're a dancer, you're a actress, you majored in
I
theater,
got
right?
I got a bachelor's in theater. I got a bachelor's in dance. I did a minor in psychology, and then I got my graduate degree in theater education, emphasis acting.
Wow. So she's just done it all, you guys. Um, you're amazing. And so she's got all these things under her belt, like so many, so much more than that, even too. But just to get started, that's where we'll get started. And she was living in Hollywood. Let's start, like, share that story, like where it all started and began, and then kind of
Yeah.
build from there.
I mean, listen, cats don't really have shit on me. Like the 9 lives thing. Like I feel like I lived like 25 lives
I feel
before I turned 30, which is
I
very much a part of my human design, by the way. Like if you know about your human design, like I didn't at this point, but now that I look back, like they say, like my human design part of my chart is like they say that 0 to 30 is usually like a time of trial and error. And I would say, yes. Also, it was pure fucking chaos. So we could call it whatever we want, but like, let's be honest, it was fucking chaos. Like so much so that I'm currently, as we speak, in the process of working with an Instagram doctor who is literally going through my account, finding all ghost or dead followers, like and removing them. And I have so many lives under my belt that out of the 30,000 followers I had on Instagram, 15,000 of them were dead accounts, like accounts that like used to follow me, but now are not even on Instagram anymore. And
Wow.
so it just goes back a really long way. Like listen, I grew up in Southern California. Um, I was a professional dancer from the time I was 16 years old. I got married at 20. I moved to London for 4 years to choreograph a musical in London. I danced all over the place. I traveled to 28 countries before I turned 28 years old. I moved back. I got my degree in San Diego. I got divorced. Wah, wah. I got divorced. I like moved, I got my degrees. I like moved to Hollywood. I was dancing professionally still, but like more choreography. I was acting, like the Hollywood life, but I grew up in it. Like I grew up as a dancer. Like I was dancing in Hollywood from the time I was like 8 years old. So I kind of grew up in that industry, and then was going to do it forever. Like that was it. I was going to do it forever. And I was acting. I was doing a lot of like stand-in work, and I had a lot of like guest spot work on television. I worked on Disney Channel a little bit, Showtime. And like then I found fitness. But when that was all happening, it was more of like listen, as a kid, I was really I was like very much an overachiever in like a lot of ways. Like I did a lot of sports. I was a dancer. I swam. I played softball. I did all these things. I was always getting straight A's. I was, director of student activities in the Associated Student Body. And then the next year I was the sergeant at arms. And then the next year I was the whatever I was. Like I was
Always been
always,
a leader.
huh?
You've always been a leader too.
Always. Oh, always. And that is great. And it also came with a lot of like praise, but also like really high expectations. So I
Hmm.
kind of just got really used to those high expectations and like that praise.
Hmm.
Um, and like I'm a Sagittarius, I'm a stellium Sagittarius means I have like 7 planets in Sag. So like being a gypsy and like doing all the things, like that's kind of just like who I am, and I think who I will always be. And I kind of mentioned I have my midheaven is in Leo, which is like the way I portray myself in this world is like very much like I need to be the center of attention, but from a place of like I have a huge impact to make, and the only way I can do that is if people notice me. And so
Yeah.
a lot of these things were like par for the course, but that time of my life was like I was just
Why?
kind of like going. I was just kind of
Yeah.
going. Like I don't even everyone's like, "How did you do that? How did you do that?" I'm like, I was just like, "Oh, idea. Bing, like opportunity. Yes, please." And so a lot of that's really great cuz like I'm just literally fire levitating across the field, but there was no substance. There was no stability. There was no plan. There there was none of that. And I was very much I was very after all that time of being praised for like how much I did and how hard I worked and all these things, like I was very addicted to the outside validation and very
I was
addicted to the
gonna say
praise.
that. Yeah. Like when,
Yeah.
because, and you find it like normal. It's like a normal feeling, and you're just going because you're like, oh well, this is normal, and I'm doing a good job as long as I keep getting all this outside validation,
Hmm.
and people keep asking me how I'm doing it all. That
Hmm.
means like I'm doing a good job. So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
keep doing this because this is what I should be doing.
Yeah, and I found myself like inflating things that I was doing. Like I would be like, "Oh," I would almost be like embarrassed to tell people that I was like just a stand-in. And I'm like, I look back now and I'm like, you know how many people like come to Hollywood and like would kill to just be a stand-in? Like
Mhm.
I was like I was like almost embarrassed by that because I had like conditioned myself so much to be excellent that like that didn't even feel like enough. So like you can just see that cycle. Like that pattern was just like it doesn't get that doesn't go away, you know? So it was like
Mhm.
if I would have kept down that path, like nothing would have ever been enough. Like I could have been fucking Meryl Streep at the Oscars and I still would feel like it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I teach. It's like when you're seeking outside praise and outside validation, and you can't fulfill that on your own without that outside validation, no matter how successful you are, how much money you have, what your house looks
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
etc., all the things, it's
Mhm.
never going to be enough because you're always going to be searching for that next best thing to be validated for, period. So I
Yeah,
don't.
and like well and like when we talk about like I don't know, when we talk about like manifestation, right? Like how can I couldn't even I wasn't even giving myself space to think about what I wanted. Like because I was just saying yes to everything that was like if it looked like it was going to love me, like I said yes. And you know, that was like I stayed in my marriage, my first marriage like way longer than I should have and like I look back now and I'm like damn, like that went on way too long. Um you know, and then like I just but it's like when we talk about manifestation, like most people and I think I was doing this, like I was manifesting based on like what I wanted and like where I was going. And like if you start manifestation with like what you want, like that's an energy of lack. That's an energy of need. And like you're never gonna get it. Cause like what
Like,
you think about is electrical and what you feel is magnetic. Together, that's your electromagnetic frequency.
mhm.
And if all I'm thinking about is like, oh, I need another job, I need to get the next job, I need to get the next addition. Well, I'm saying I need it, which means I don't have it, which makes me feel bad, like to the point where I'm like inflating the fact that I'm getting these things. Like, no wonder I was just like in this circle. Like, it was just this spiral. And like, did I ever have enough money? No, because I never gave myself the opportunity to have enough money because I was so focused on the fact that like I wasn't living in like a mansion above Chateau Montmartre. Like I literally had my own apartment. Like I lived in my own apartment. It was a studio apartment on Poinsettia and Sunset. I had my own apartment in Hollywood and it
Just
wasn't enough. And I was 23, 24. Like who has their own apartment at 24? Like no one.
I did.
You did. You
But
did. But
I
like
feel like,
most people don't.
yeah, I think that you and I mean, similarly have experienced, like, I mean, I feel like I've lived 10 lives in the before 32.
You're
My
way ahead of me at 32. Like I think about me at 32, like you're way ahead of where I
I'm
was.
31.
Well, right, but like you're way ahead. Like you learned a lot of this way earlier than I did.
Yeah, no, and the clients that I'm working with now that are younger than me, I'm like, oh God, if I had what I'm teaching you at
I know.
in my 20s, like life
I
would be
know.
so different, but everything for a reason. So it's like,
Well, I wasn't
okay,
meant to. If I
right.
would have had the wisdom I have now at 23, I wouldn't be who I am today,
Exactly. Exactly.
which is a
Yeah.
fucking badass.
We are both the shit. Like we are the shit. I
We
only
are the
have
shit.
friends that are the shit. So, anyways,
Yeah.
okay, we're being dramatic.
Anyway, not to be dramatic, but we're awesome.
Okay. So what I was saying is like I feel like we have like both like very similar backgrounds in the sense of like I also was married at a very young age. That did not last long at all, thankfully. But I learned a lot from that, and like also the outside validation of like always wanting to be the best. Like I definitely didn't get as much as you got done. Like you are like that's amazing. I did get
Yeah.
a lot done though, and also when like to bring in that outside praise and that outside validation, like you and I um, both like I met Danielle through a like we were partnered with the same company in network marketing, and I remember when I a little backstory when I was I started my network marketing business when uh not like on purpose. Like I had
Mm.
gotten the products on accident. I ended up using them. I was sharing them on social media. It just happened naturally. And then I got told about the business and I was like, no, I don't know. That's not really for me. And
Hmm.
then I remember seeing Danielle like literally blow up. Like she made it to the top of the company in less than a year. I think it was 11 months, you said,
11 months.
which is insane. That typically takes
Insane.
somebody how many years?
I think it was like 5 to 10.
Yeah, like the average person, it takes like I want to say it's even longer than that, but I
But we
digress.
are not typical.
Yeah, no, stop
That was
it.
that was bad. For typical, go to earnings.arbonne.com.
That's something that we had to say like around all of our calls, so that's why we're cracking up. But I remember I saw her like fire levitating across the field, and I was like, she's covered in tattoos, she's lesbian, like
She
she's
says fuck.
as fuck. She's like loud. I just related to her so much more than the typical Arbonne girls that you see,
Hmm.
period.
Hmm.
And that's just the reality of it. And like
Hmm.
that, along with the girl who signed me up, like the way that she talked to me about it, and she painted this amazing picture in my head about what it was, and I
Hmm.
jumped in, and it was amazing. And I made it to the third out of four levels in uh, less than 2 years,
Yeah.
which is also not typical for typical.
Right.
Go to earnings.arbonne.com. But so like that's how I met Danielle, and like we just clicked and started to build a friendship based on that. But like also Danielle is somebody who I've always looked up to as like not just a friend but a mentor as well. Like watching her grow her business in the way that she has grown it is absolutely mind fucking blowing. Like
It is.
but I'm not surprised. Like I'm not surprised because of the way that your work ethic and the way that you moved through Arbonne is like was also mind blowing. So like of course when you branch off and start your own coaching business, that's going to take off. Like it's a no brainer. But
Yeah.
to be here for it and to watch the woman that you have literally transformed into, because you learning all of this work is around the time that you like right before, like you were probably in Arbonne and doing your coaching business, like kind of sort of a little
Yeah.
bit for like
Yeah.
probably 6 months to a year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and like during that time, like that's when you were really transitioning, like as far as you're like learning the spirituality side, like getting more into it, I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, I used to like I've always been an astrology girl. Like I used to like charge my friends for astrology readings in high school as for like some side money.
I love that.
No,
Entrepreneur.
yeah, I did all of it. Yeah, entrepreneur from the get, like
Yeah.
always. I was like I've been meeting with like tarot card readers and like psychics and mediums since I was like 15 or 14 years old. Like it's just
Hmm.
like it's always been a part of me. Um the difference between then and I would say from like age 30 on was it was almost used as a way to bypass my own shit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, I'm spiritual. Like, I know what I'm doing. We're fine. And it was like, I just hadn't actually like, am like, I used it as a way to bypass, like, oh, I have this, but like, I'm not actually practicing it. And so I would say at 30, it was like, actually, it was like, it was already starting like before Arbonne. And then Arbonne actually just because I was a soul cycle instructor. Surprise. Also, after acting, I like became a soul cycle instructor and I was a soul cycle instructor in like West Coast training and development for like 10 years. So I was at Soul Cycle for 10 years and it was my everything. But like
You are
that job,
amazing. You are
yeah,
amazing.
I was like I am like all of the things I've done I'm really good at. Like I don't do anything I'm not good at. And that career as well as network marketing for me both perpetuated that side of me that like needed to be needed to be praised. And it wasn't until Arbonne, like I'm so grateful for Arbonne because it actually was the thing that like shook me out of it because it was like I made good money at Soul Cycle. I was making over six figures a year, like teaching spin. Like that's great. But it
Yeah.
like never felt like enough. Like it still wasn't enough because like your girl's bougie as fuck and lives in Hollywood. Like I lived in LA. Like that's expensive. Um, which like is so crazy because I don't even say that word anymore. Like the words too expensive are not even a part of my vocabulary anymore.
Yeah. Same.
Um, and that then like Arbonne came around and like on paper, I was the fucking it girl. Like I
Mm.
like you kind of said it. Like I moved fast. I was like the lesbian face of the company, which was so
Yeah.
weird because I did not ask for that. Um
Well, they saw it
it,
as an opportunity and they ran
well,
with
of
it.
course they did. Of course they
Yeah.
did. And like that's fine. Like whatever's going to put me like whatever's going to give me a platform to be able to like deliver my impact, I was fine with.
Yeah.
However, um you know, like I got to the top. I'm sitting there. It's like Christmas Eve. I'll never forget it. It's like Christmas Eve. We have the house. We moved into this like really cute house that was like in Highland Park in LA, like very walkable, like Instagrammable town. We had the cutest house. It was like blue. It was like old craftsman style. Like
I
the
went there and
house of,
visited you, right?
you went there for my birthday, right?
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
cute.
such a cute house. We had that. I had the car. I had the money. Like, you
Mm.
know, I had it all. Owen was getting, my son was like getting I had a baby also. So that's part of my nine lives.
Yeah.
Surprise. I have a son. He's amazing.
All these
Um,
little things. You're like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah, like I had a child also. His dad and I were together after my marriage, and then we broke up too. And now I'm married to a woman. Huh? Surprise. Um, Crazy, but yeah, like he had everything he wanted. Like my wife, my then fiance, and I were like sitting on the couch. We like literally just got done building his like Power Wheels hot Jeep that my mom had sent and told us that wasn't going to be that hard to put together. Spoiler alert: it took 4 fucking hours. Like it was. But we're sitting there. We literally on paper have it all. It's
Yeah.
amazing. I look at Breezy and I was like, if this is success, because I'm like choking on anxiety. I'm like, I still cannot even like sit still because I'm so worried about the other shoe falling, because I'm so worried
Yeah.
about what happens if this all goes away. Like, I am so outside of myself, not trusting like which is like, it's like who I am. Like, me being successful is not what I do. It's truly just who I am. Like, I'm going to be successful no matter what I do. But I was like, not even just trusting that. And I looked at Breezy and I said, if this is success, I don't want it. I don't want it. And like that's when that was the moment. It was a year after my dad died, which again, my dad died 3 years ago, and that was 21. He died January 2021, so it was that Christmas, December 2021. So a year later, that's when it was, and I was like, if this is success, I don't want it. And like that's when like all of the years of work that I'd been doing on myself, all of the therapy, all of the spirituality, all of the energetics finally hit, and I was like,
Mm.
oh, I can apply this to my own life. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
And I almost like remember that shift that you had too, because when
It was quick.
it was like basically I'm gonna give you an example. Like Danielle used to be the girl who in Arbonne where like anyone could text her and ask her for advice, for help, for whatever, and she would be like she would be like so quick to reply. And that was
Yep.
amazing for us, but I could not fucking imagine on her end what that felt like, just being bombarded with all of these questions and texts when like they should be going to their own uplines, but
Yeah.
instead they're going to Danielle because Danielle made herself available. She's easy to talk to. She's nice. She's
Which is
sweet. Like
cool.
she's super cool. Yeah, like it also like everyone wants to be her friend. So it's like um that was like a thing, but then it like it changed. It switched and it was like all of a sudden you couldn't just text Danielle anymore. All of a sudden Danielle was very specific about who she let into her friend circle. All of a sudden Danielle had boundaries. And it was amazing for her. And I just remember watching this and being like, I need to respect these boundaries because she's not fucking around. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, so that was just like such an amazing thing to watch, like transformation to watch
It
for you.
literally felt like I took off my bra. Like, you know, when you like
Oh,
are,
yeah.
yeah, that's what it
Yes.
felt like.
Oh God, I'm so
Like
happy for you.
everyone's like, was that scary to implement boundaries? I'm like, no. Like it was scary before, which is why I didn't do it.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
point, it was like, it was survival. Like it was that, or who knows what would have happened. Like I literally avoided I literally avoided grieving my dad for a year because I felt like if I did that, I wouldn't, everything would fall to the ground. Like I literally was too afraid to grieve the death of my best friend, like because I
Yeah.
was worried that the other shoe would fall.
Yeah.
That was a huge wake up call. And I know not everybody, because like everything's a gift. Everything's a gift, even grief, even losing my dad. Like I can say,
Yeah.
I hate that I say this. And I would honestly, what the worst part about grief is that like, if I was given the opportunity to like trade it all to have 5 more minutes with my dad, I would in a heartbeat. Like it would be a no question. And that's always really weird to me because I'm such a convicted person. So to like also know that I would trade it is like something I like grapple with all the time. However, I do know that like he had to die in order for like a lot of these things to like be shaken awake. And yeah, I mean, it's like I look back at that time, like I was like I was available to everyone
Girl, you were on calls with us like the day
all the time.
after your dad passed away.
I know.
I'm like,
I know.
I'm
I
like,
know.
what
And I remember
are you doing
thinking
on this
like,
phone call? Like,
yeah, I literally remember thinking to myself, like, I have to show up so that other people know that they can get through hard things too. Like, I remember having that thought.
yeah.
I was sitting, I remember, okay, this is the fucked up part. This is like how addicted and like how out of my body I was. My
I have
dad
a
was literally on his deathbed. Like it was the night he died, and I was on a team call sitting at the bedside in his hospice bed. Like I was
I
on a
remember
team
that.
call.
I remember that. I was
And
there.
everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're so strong." Like,
Yeah.
and listen,
Outside
like
body
and I
raised.
well, right, but I think a lot of times like when this happens to other people, they're like, "Why didn't somebody tell me to like get the fuck off the phone?" Like, why didn't, and I don't do that. I don't play that game. Like, I am an adult. I made my own decisions, and what I should have done was be like, "Everyone can fuck off. I will be on calls when I'm ready."
Yeah.
But no, but I didn't. And it was like it was that went on for a year after he died. And then finally I was like, nope, we can't do this. But you know, I'm a Sagittarius. So like, and I'm Scorpio rising. So like when
Yeah.
I'm
So they
done,
don't tell you what to do.
but also like when I'm done, I'm fucking done.
Um, So I kind of want to talk because you are also very much so, you're a human design coach. You do human design readings. I talked about human design like 2 episodes ago. If you are interested in getting to know a little bit more about human design, like the general descriptions of each design, go ahead and check back on that podcast episode. But Danielle is like the reason that I even started learning about human design, and she did my first human design reading, which I log all of her information to book a human design reading with her in my podcast show notes for that episode too. But so I wanted to talk a little bit more about like human design, how you specifically like use it in your life, in your
Mm-hmm.
business,
Mm-hmm.
and how it changed the game for you.
Mm-hmm. I love that question. Human design is a tool, just like astrology, just like therapy, just like breath work, just like intuition, or intuition is part of human design, just like, you know, being able to tap in like mediumship abilities. Like it's all tools. It's all tools that give us access. That's what it
Hmm.
is. Plant medicine. It's a tool that gives us access.
Hmm.
Um, and I think like as a collective consciousness, we're here to move forward. We're here to evolve, ascend, the great awakening, expand, like whatever the fuck you call it. Like it doesn't matter to me what you call it. I
Yeah.
look at it like metaphorically, I look at it as if we're all like, everyone is running a race and we're all going towards the same finish line. And so, like, you could sprint, I could jog, that person could walk, and all of that's fine. The problem that we see is that, like, because if everyone's running their own race, then like no one's distracted. We're all just like moving forward, which is the point. The problem is, like, you got these people screaming at everybody saying, like, sprinting is the only way to get there. And then you got the joggers saying, no, this is the only way to get there. Now you got all of us in the middle being like, okay, but like, which is it? And like,
Yeah.
what am I doing now? I'm looking right and left. I'm not moving forward. I'm distracted. And so human design, astrology, all of these tools, right? These vehicles that we have at our disposal, they're never meant to distract us. And if they do distract you, then don't use them, because the whole point, and like, there's a quote in the Kabbalah, it says Elohim, and it means all of us or none of us.
Hmm.
And none of these things are supposed to distract us from moving forward. And so when I look at human design, I look at it as one of many tools that I work with and I grow my life through. So I don't like teach people how to use their human design. I teach people how to move through with their human design, how to move through with astrology, how to move through with breath work, meditation, yoga, whatever it is. And I think so for me, human design, what I treat human design as, because I listen, I believe that like before you come here, you are a light being and you decide when you're coming down to have a human experience. And before you do that, you have to write out your soul contract and you say, like, I'm going to experience this and I'm going to experience that. And then there's like, okay, but you still have this karma from a past life. I believe in past lives. If you don't, just keep scrolling. But like, I believe in past lives. And like, like you have all this karma that you have to like learn in this next life. So like you have all these things too, and ready, set, jump. And
Yeah.
so what I believe human design is that map. Like I believe that human design is that like map that you drew for yourself so you could find the way. And if you get to wake up to it and you get to like find that map, it's going to make the journey a little bit faster. It's going to make the journey a little bit less painful. It's going to make the
Mm,
journey a little less stressful. Like there's lessons you're still going to have to learn, like regardless. I knew about human design before my dad died. Guess what? I still had to experience going through my dad dying. Like I've
mhm.
known about astrology pretty much my entire life, besides like the first 15 years. I still had to go through a divorce. I still had to navigate breakups with my son's dad. I still had to navigate postpartum depression, which was fucking awful for me. Like the lessons you come here to learn are still the lessons you're going to learn. So these are not get out of jail free cards.
Yeah.
These are helping you how to manage your own energy. And that's one thing that human design has really done for me is it's really allowed me the space to get clear on actually what my intuition sounds like, actually what a full body yes is, and to no longer be addicted to the guilt I feel and used to feel for saying no.
Mm,
That's like what human design has done for me. And I applied, I mean, it's like, it's no longer like something I have to consciously like think about. It's like, it's applied to every area of my business. And now like, I just attract equals. Like when you came to me, like you're a projector and I'm a generator. And like, well, it's like when you came to me, like having you a part of my life, my business, whatever, as like a projector, I didn't have to like actively be like, I need a projector. Like it was just, you start to like attract people into your life that are meant to be there and you start to move
totally.
differently because you just like you manage your own energy.
Totally.
So that's what human design is for me. It's like a way to like, I would love to say that I like coach people how to like move through problems. But like a lot of my clients and a lot of people in my life have problems that I've never experienced, even though I've experienced a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like I don't teach people how to get through their problems. I teach people how to manage their own energy,
Exactly.
which
Yeah.
can help you get through anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
I have definitely taken human design and applied it to my life. And it also, for me, like helped me be okay with, um, like for instance, the work situation. Like I was always told growing up that like I'm lazy and I
Mm,
don't that I don't, work like
you're
I got
bossy.
yeah, yes. It's definitely that. But we've
You're a
learned
know it all. You know it all. You do
yeah,
know it all. That's a fact, but it's not a
yeah,
bad thing.
no, exactly. And I see things differently than a lot of people do, and that's why I'm so good at what I do
Yep.
too.
Yeah.
Um and um but like I'm not meant I don't personally on a real note, I do not believe that like we should have to work longer than 3 to 4 hours a day. Like
I do
period.
not dream of labor.
Yeah.
Like it's that. It's literally that. Like I do not dream of labor. Like what do you dream of being when you grow up? Projectors are like a bougie bitch who goes to brunch every day. I don't know. Like
Literally, like I love the way that you say like projectors, you should be able to look at their Instagram and like not have any idea what they do for work.
yeah, but
Because
like not really care because like you ooze success.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like I love that.
Yeah.
And that is like the goal, and that is
Yeah.
because that's literally what feels the most like
Yeah.
authentic and good inside of me, and that's
Yeah.
because it's literally how I was designed as a
Yeah. I mean,
projector.
human design's a great place like to also find out where your programming is. Like it's a really good map to like uncover and rediscover like all of the conditioning and all of the programming that you have. It's like a really good place to do that.
Yeah, like this is yeah, like maybe can you give an example of that?
I mean, yeah, like generators, we are supposed to like we as a generator, I am more successful when I do things that make me happy. Well, as a kid, I have like you have a I have a sacral battery. So I have a huge energy center. So if I'm doing things that I like, I can do them forever and I get really excited about it. So as a kid, I was like I loved softball, so I did softball, and I loved to swim, so I was a swimmer, and I loved to dance, so I was a dancer. And then what society does is they go, "Oh wow, she's a hyper capable person." Like so then they start asking me to do things that like I don't really want to do, but because now I believe that like I just have this energy battery and everybody's always been like, "Wow, she's so busy, she's so full of energy, she's so full of life." Now it's in my head and my conditioning is like I need to keep saying yes because that's successful. And so I as like most generators like are addicted to outside validation. Most manifesting generators they did it so here's a perfect example most they did a study on human design and they figured out in this study that 90% of the people that were diagnosed with ADHD were manifesting generators. Why? They're multi-passionates.
Yeah.
They're the multi-passionates of the collective, so they
Wow.
have lots of
That's wild.
interests. Right. But as a kid, you know, little Timmy, he wants to play guitar. He also wants to read. He wants to do science. He wants to do all these things. Parents are like, he can't focus. He can't sit still in school. So then he gets
Yeah.
diagnosed ADHD. And it's like, is he actually, I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose you or undiagnose you. What I can say is like, I believe that there is not just one way to be in this world.
Yeah.
And, you know, are you ADHD or do you just have a huge energy aura that has a lot of different passions and the world doesn't really know what to do with it?
Exactly. Wow. That's a wild case study, and
Mm-hmm.
that's made my jaw dropped.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. And like projectors,
So
like
true.
yeah, I mean projectors, like the programming in a projector because like you have a very small but very efficient battery. So like you're not you but you're also it's efficient. So you'll get more done in an hour than I ever could in like 4. And because we live in a world that like our societal programming, the paradigm, I mean, we're moving away from this paradigm, but the paradigm that we've been existing in is worth and success is tied to how much time you put into something.
Yeah.
And you're really here to move us towards a more efficient way of working, a more efficient way of living. And so as kids, a lot of projectors are like, I don't want to work that hard, but I also like don't need to work that hard. And then society goes, well, no, that's not right. Like you need to go find something to do. You need to be busier. So you stop trusting your intuition at a very young age. And now your programming is, I have to keep up. I have to keep up. I have to keep up. That is why most projectors, until they figure out their human design, are chronically burnt out, like
Dude,
chronically burnt out.
that's exactly you just
And
described.
probably have thyroid issues because of it.
Yeah. I just hope that like I actually have a doctor's appointment to get that checked like next week, which
See?
so fingers crossed that that's not a thing. But I do have low red blood cells. That
Yeah.
is because what is it? Um, in me. Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on what it's called. Anemic. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I used to work, you know, I've always had more than one job, and
Mhm.
I work for, there was a period in my life in my 20s, early 20s, that I was working 16-hour days, and I would have
So unhealthy for you.
extremely. And
Yeah.
and I was bartending and I was on my feet the whole
Yeah.
time and bending
Yeah.
over and making drinks, and I had to be on all the time, like meaning I had to talk to people, and
Yeah.
um, all that stuff. So it's like there was that. There was also like there was days where I would work at the gym because I was a personal trainer and gym manager, and I would like work from 8 to 5 at the gym, teach a fitness class, in between that have clients, one-on-one
Yeah.
clients, and then after that I would go bartend from 9 o'clock at night until 2:30 in the morning. I'd get home at 3:30 because I lived 45 minutes away from the bar that I worked at. Like, and then I would wake up the next morning and go to work again. Like,
Mhm.
what?
Mhm.
Like,
I know.
how in the world did I ever do that? Like,
I
that's
know.
insane to me. And now I'm like, okay, I'm I have to decondition myself as to be
Yeah.
like, I'm not meant to work like that. No, first of all, I don't think anybody is, even if they love what they're doing. Like nobody should be
Mhm.
working that much.
Mhm.
But also realizing that like I do not have to work, like I work hard, don't get me wrong, but like it
Right.
doesn't take me that long to get a lot done.
Mhm.
Period.
Yeah.
And so I can work for 3 to 4 hours in a day and be like, wow, I got so much done. I feel so productive. I feel so good.
Yep.
Now I'm going to go relax and I'm going to
And walk
go.
my dog on the beach.
Exactly. Literally.
Right. I mean, I tell all my projectors like and like this is why like I mean, this is a conversation we had when you started to like work in my business. I was like, "Listen, I'm not going to pay you per hour. It doesn't serve you." Like I told Michaela, it's like you should never charge per hour because if you do, like you're never going to get paid what you're worth. Like charge per week, charge per month because if you're a projector, like you're going to get more done in a quicker amount of time. That doesn't mean you're worth less money. It just means that you're quicker. And and like the same thing goes for I tell all my projector people, like if you've been working for more than 3 hours, like because like some people can't help it, right? Like some people have to like have jobs and they work 8 hours a day. But I'm like, every 3 hours, like go take a 10-minute break or and eat a snack. Like I say, if you've been working more than 3 hours, take a nap or eat a snack because it'll recharge you.
Yeah. And I use that too because that's like so true. So true.
I mean, it's my
I,
son. My son's a projector. He gets home from school after 8 hours at school. I cannot ask him about school right away. I have to bring a snack to school so he can eat it in the car. And then we have to have like it very quiet and silent for like the first 20 minutes while he recharges. And like, can you imagine
yeah.
if I didn't know that and I kept raising him like he was a generator? Like,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah. Exactly. Owen just
Yeah,
gets me. Me and Owen, man. I love that
I
kid.
know. He's
Oh,
yeah, he's
he's the best.
pretty yeah, he's pretty epic. He loves
Um,
you. I mean, he loves Michaela. He's always like, "She's so pretty." I'm like, "You're right.
oh,
She is. Calm
oh.
down, Tiger. You're 7."
Thanks, Owen. He's
Mhm.
also like a gorgeous child. Like you made a beautiful boy.
I really did. You're right.
Yeah.
It's like the best art piece I've ever I used to say I'm not an
Yes.
artist, but like I fucking am an artist.
Yeah. You created that.
I made the water, I made the flour, I made the sugar. I cooked that shit from scratch.
And now she's also baking sourdough bread. Yes.
I am. I have hobbies for the first time in probably 10 years. Hobbies that don't make any money, that just are for fun. I have hobbies for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah. And you guys, I help Danielle. I'm her executive assistant for her business. So I help her in that aspect too. So
She
seeing
saves
her.
my life on an everyday basis. Let's not minimize this. Like she saves
Oh,
my life on a regular day basis.
I love you. Thank
I
you.
love you
Um,
too.
but working with her side by side in like a close capacity and like being able to watch the way that she does business has been just like I've said it already before in the beginning of this, but it's just been so inspiring. And uh the reason why I part of the reason why I like had faith in myself, which leads me into my next question for you, Danielle. Like
Hmm.
starting over because I'm kind of like in this. No, like I quit Arbonne. Let's be real. Like I still have like my like people can still buy from me,
Hmm.
um, but for the most part, like I don't talk about it. I don't share
Yeah.
it. I don't,
Yeah.
um, and so it's like there's that weird like, okay, am I really gonna like I just worked my fucking ass off to build this business to the third, and then you made it to the top of the company.
I was in the
Um,
top 50 income earners at one
yeah,
point.
you were, it was insane what you did.
I won every award,
You did. You had,
every single
remember
one.
that photo? Wait, okay, you guys, I have to like post this photo. I wonder if I
Mm.
can add it in here somehow of Danielle holding all of these like jewelry boxes and
There's
awards
like
that
14 Tiffany's boxes in my hands during this
it was
picture.
insane. But yeah, so because you get incentives and you get incentive trips and you get incentive jewelry and all these things that Arbonne gives you when you hit your numbers and you sign up, consultants, and you can. There's like so many things that you can earn, which are fucking awesome. Like, don't get me
That's
wrong,
amazing. It's
I
amazing.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And also, I would rather take myself on these vacations, stay wherever the fuck I want to stay, and buy myself whatever jewelry I want instead of it being picked out for me and given to me as a gift. All I'm saying is that I know that I can do it myself. And like, I just, being with Armand, being partnered with Armand didn't align with me anymore. Like, it didn't feel right. And
Hmm.
so like, I guess, kind of wanted to talk about how it felt burning it all to the ground and then starting your own coaching business and like
Hmm.
what that looked like for you.
Yeah, I think, listen, when when you like, I think everybody deserves to find their mountaintop in every life that you get to have. I think it I think it's your birthright to find your mountaintop.
Yeah.
And I am always so inspired and like just so excited for the men and women that I met through network marketing, that is their mountaintop. Like, I think that is so incredible. And it inspired me in a lot of ways. And like, that was never my mountaintop. It was never going to be my mountaintop. I don't even think what I'm doing, I mean, I know even what I'm doing now is not my mountaintop. Um the show moves on. And so the when I had that moment where I was like, this is not, I can't, if this is success, I don't want it.
Hmm.
Um, it was like a no, it was a not, it was a no brainer. Like, I'm going to do something else. I know that I was actually, you know what it is? I like really was getting to know myself and trust myself. And I think when you really know yourself, you win. Like, that's it. Like, the more you
Oh,
know yourself, you win. And it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what business you have or don't have. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. It doesn't matter who broke your heart. It doesn't matter who died. It doesn't matter any of those things, because if you know yourself, you can always figure it out. And
100%.
I was at a point where like I have always really known myself. I just always wasn't listening to myself. And so the choice to truly trust myself and listen to myself and stop looking outside of myself for the praise, the answers, the validation, and really just like turn that mirror around and realize that like I have fucking wings and I can fly. Um it made like building my business like pretty easy. And I don't mean easy in that like I haven't had to figure shit out along the way. Like, Michaela will be the first to tell you, like, I figure shit out all the time. Like,
Yeah.
it's not easy, but energetically it's easy. And uh the thing about Tinkerbell, I'm just go on a little side journey right now. Tinkerbell from Peter Pan always drove me fucking crazy, because this is a bitch that like literally, and we all have an inner Tinkerbell, by the way. She's like inside of all of us, and she's that little thing inside of us that like doesn't get her way and goes like, like nobody gets me, meh. Like, it's that energy where she just like crosses her arms and she's just like frustrated because nobody understands and nobody gets her and like all this shit, right? Right. All this little fairy had to do was like look in the fucking mirror and realize she has wings and she can fly away from this situation at any time. She could have flown away at any time, but she didn't, because if she stayed, maybe they would love her more.
Hmm.
And I had that moment where I was like, "Ugh, like, no, why can't I have my way? Like, why is nobody listening to me? Why is this not going the way that I want it to?" And all
Yeah.
it took for me to do was like look in the mirror and be like, wait, you have wings.
Yeah.
Just fly away. Go build
Yeah.
it. Go do it yourself. And once I had that moment, like it was like lights, it was game over. It was like game on,
Totally.
light switch flipped. And there was no looking back. And I was, for the first time, my actions were so aligned with like my purpose. My intuition was like so aligned. I was saying no most often, which was huge for me as a generator.
Yeah.
Um, when I really started to like apply some of the shit in my astrological chart, like, oh, I'm meant to be like making huge impact. Oh, like in my human design chart, like I'm a wise sage. Like, find a way that you can impart your wisdom on the world, like all these
Mhm.
things. And um, yeah, I mean, but like, is it scary? Yeah, it's scary. I think a lot of people, the fear is what holds people back. And I really just, I think the biggest part was like, I knew myself well, and B, I really started to see fear as an activator and an expander instead of a
Totally.
contractor.
Yes.
Uh,
For saying that.
and like, I really had to like, I had to get to know my brain better. Like I had to really pay attention to the way my brain reacted and responded to fear, the way that my brain reacted and responded to stress, where I felt it in my body. Like I really had to tap into that, because
Mhm.
then in those moments where I was like trying to like navigate the switch from, one successful business to another, I was able to go, oh, this is that fear response because of in the past, this happened and it slowed me down. But like, that's not where we're at anymore. That's not who we are anymore. So we're going to continue to move forward.
Yeah.
And it's not like it never comes back up. Like it's not like I think people assume that like once you're successful, you're never afraid. Like, no, you are afraid. The difference is the fear doesn't stop you. Like fear doesn't
Mhm.
stop me. Fear doesn't slow me down. I address my shadows before they become problems. I eat my blind spots for breakfast. And a lot of that is like I stay really close to mentorship. I stay really close to people who are moving in the same direction as I'm moving, because I don't want to be in an echo chamber ever.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'm, yeah, so happy that you said that. And like also learning how to like learn your brain, your subconscious mind, healing your shit, healing like that, because you learn the difference between like what is fear versus what is intuition. Fear is, which is so huge, yeah, like fear is, a fear of something that's happened to you in the past that might be causing you to not move forward because you're
mhm,
afraid that what happened in the past is going to happen again, so you just don't do
mhm,
it.
mhm,
Whereas intuition is unexplainable. Intuition is something that you cannot explain. You feel it in your body that you have to do whatever it is that you are doing to move forward.
mhm.
And you have no idea what it's going to look like. It is scary, but you just know that where you're at right now is not doing you any good. And you got to fucking move and you got to move forward and you just got to do it. And it's going to be unexplainable and it's going to defy all logic. That's your intuition. And
Well,
I
and
feel
I'll
like,
go even oh, I was gonna say I'll go even farther. Like, I don't actually believe that you are using your intuition unless you're afraid. Like, when I'm not afraid, I'm staying in my comfort zone, and I'm staying in my ego, and I'm staying in the rules my subconscious mind created for me. When I'm afraid and I feel fear in my body, it's because my intuition is guiding me down a direction that my ego doesn't like. And so naturally it's going to signal a fear response from my subconscious mind to my bloodstream. And
mhm,
so, yeah, I mean, I don't get, if I'm afraid, I'm like, must be doing something right. Let's fucking go.
yeah, totally. Yeah, and so that's when like as far as taking it back to building our mom businesses and then deciding like it's not gonna be like this isn't our end, this isn't our mountaintop, as you said. I loved the way that you pictured that, but like and then just to go for it, like not knowing what it was gonna look like but having true faith in ourselves. um you have definitely, like I said, been an inspiration for that. So thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you have to just be willing. Like, if you're hearing this and you're like, okay, but like, how? Like,
Yeah.
you just have to be willing to to trust yourself more than the programming you received from like the matrix that is the society around you. Like you
Mm,
just have to be willing to trust yourself more. That's it.
which is what I teach in
Yeah.
mentorship, in this podcast,
Yeah.
and like learning how to trust yourself, trusting your intuition,
Yeah.
rewiring your subconscious mind. Like,
Yeah. There's a lot of healers and
well,
a
you
lot of
did.
guides. Yeah, there's a lot of healers and a lot of guides and a lot of light workers waking up right now. And it's because we're at this pivotal point in society where we are shifting to a new paradigm. We're shifting to a new energetic consciousness. And so, yeah, stay close to people like Michaela, stay close to people like me, stay close to people that like kind of give you that like, ooh, like it feels a little dangerous. Like stay close to those people because that's that's the shift. That's the new paradigm that we're moving into.
Yeah,
So
totally.
all of us or none of us, baby.
And one, okay, I have one last question. I know that we have to wrap it up, but I have one
Oh,
last
you're
question.
good.
And that is, as far as like mentorship goes, like your take on how it's changed your life and how important it is to, like, if you are looking to heal, looking to grow a business, looking to just whatever it is that you're wanting to do, like to have a mentor there with you, like how has it changed your life?
Listen, the as my wife would say, the best athletes in the world have coaches. And they
Mm,
don't just like have a coach when they like need to get better. They're at the top of their game. Like how many coaches does LeBron James have? How many coaches did Kobe Bryant have? Like it's they didn't need a coach just because they like wanted to get better. They made coaching and support and mentorship a non-negotiable. I invested over $100,000 into mentorship last year without even blinking an eye because like it's not coming, and I don't just do like small program here, small program there. Like I invest long term, I stay committed whether I need it actively in that moment or not, because the thing is, if I am moving where I'm moving, then support is a non-negotiable for me. And if you are, but that's also just who I am. Like I'm not interested in like quick fixes, instant gratification, outside validation and praise. So I'm not just going to like coach hop from like person to person so that somebody else can validate me. Like I'm going to go with somebody who like learns my shit. They know my blind spots, they know my tendencies, they know my patterns, and then as soon as they happen, they can like call it and help me work through them, because at the end of the day, like I'm not here to play small. Like I'm just not. And so, why on earth would I ever make small decisions? Like, why on earth would I ever play small with my investments? Like, small moves. And that could be a time investment too, by the way. So many people like think about the gym. Like Michaela, fitness industry is home to you as well. Like think about how many people are like, "Oh, I really want to like lose weight." Like why do you think things like liposuction and air sculpt and all these things are so popular? And I no shade. Like listen, I'd be lying if I haven't looked at the air sculpt website and been like, "Ooh, I could do that." But it's like if you are a person who's just wanting like quick fixes, then you can't be surprised when you keep running around on a hamster wheel of your life and ending up in the same place. It's because you're not actually moving beyond that place where you feel comfortable. Like there's people that are interested in their growth, and then there's people committed to it. And the people committed to it actually make the move. The people who are interested in it just bump right up against it as long as it doesn't challenge their current pattern of behavior. So they stay
oof,
stuck.
oof, mic drop. Word.
Yeah, I mean, it's a non-negotiable. Like
Yeah.
if
Oh
you're
my.
growing anything, if you're building anything, also like if you are in the coaching space and you don't have your own mentor, like it's irresponsible, like personally. Like that's just like that's like a code of conduct thing. Like how can you ever tell somebody to like invest in you if you're not investing in someone else?
Yes.
Energetics.
I could not agree
Yeah.
more. um
Well, I mean,
Amazing.
I'm sure with you, you get this all the time because you do intuitive reads. So I'm sure people were like this is where if you have like worked with Michaela as like and you've done like an intuitive read with her and you did it because you thought it was going to give you some like instant gratification and quick fix, like surprise, bet it didn't. Like I bet it didn't. I bet it gave you a lot of insight. And I bet you were like, wow, you just opened my eyes to stuff. But like 4 months later, if you didn't keep working with Michaela, what happened? You
Nothing.
came right back to the same place.
Exactly. Because you have to learn how to rewire. You have to learn how to
Took you
learn
how
how
long to fuck yourself up? You think you're going to do it in like a
to.
90-minute read?
That's
Come
why
on.
that's why I said you got to unpack. You got to get to the root cause of your shit,
And
and
it
that takes
doesn't take
time.
you as long. Like I think that's why people too, they don't want to
No,
invest in the long term because they think it's going to take them as long. Like no, like you can actually rewire your brain a lot quicker than it took to mess it up. Um
100%. Yeah,
you just have to be willing to do it.
yeah, yeah. And a lot of people are afraid and see this as like woo woo, or
It
they don't
is
believe
woo woo. It existed long before your Bible. So get over it.
it. Preach. It is so, that is so true. And it's like, but like, if you don't believe it, like, it just, like, I had somebody ask me like, will it work if I don't believe in it? And I'm like, yeah. Like, your disbelief in what I do doesn't disable my abilities.
Yeah, like it still works for me. Whether you choose to integrate what I do, that's up to you. But like,
Hmm. I can
I
still
don't
give
know.
you an intuitive read. I can still give you mindset tips. I can still give you physical and energetic tools. But like,
Right.
but in order,
If you,
just like anything, if
yeah,
you do not believe in what you are doing, it's not going to work, because you have to believe in
right.
yourself for anything to work.
Right. Or if you do an intuitive read and even though you quote don't believe it, Michaela's guaranteed going to say some shit that like triggers the fuck out of you because she's right. And you're going to take that and then you're going to get mad and you're going to be like, yeah, it doesn't work. I don't believe in that. But then why are you triggered? Because a trigger
Mm,
is really just your intuition being like, we should heal this so we can move forward. Like that's
yeah.
all a trigger is.
Yes, exactly.
Like everyone
Exactly.
treats triggers as like bad things, like all these fucking trigger warnings all over the internet, like trigger warning, trigger warning. Like, no, trigger people.
Yeah.
Triggers were given to us as divine guidance. They're
Yes,
divine guidance for how we can heal ourselves deeper. If you're
exactly.
not getting triggered, you are not growing. If you are avoiding being triggered, you are not growing. Period.
Period. Period.
Period. Duh.
Oh, Danielle, I love you so much. I appreciate you times a million for hopping on and
I
being a
love
part of
you.
my podcast, which I can't believe I have a podcast, because I remember when you started your podcast, which I will link all of Danielle's information for her podcast, her website, her Instagram, all the things
Yeah.
down below in the show notes. But
Yeah.
I remember when you started your podcast and I was like, wait, that's so cool. Like, I
It was
know her.
3 years ago. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was 3 years ago. It's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean the amount of growth that I've had, not, I mean, let's like, not to mention the past year, but like in the,
Oh my
especially
gosh.
the past 3 years. I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's pretty wild. Like, I mean, listen, and if you're like wanting to start a podcast, like and you're hearing this, you're like, I want to start a podcast, like take it from me. There is like no better time to have a podcast because like with the rise of AI, like your voice and your face have never been more valuable.
Mm,
So use
so
them
true.
constantly.
So true.
Anyway, I love you.
I love you so much. Thank
Thanks for
you.
having
And
me.
thank you for coming on. And you guys, like I said, I will link all of her information in the show notes below. If
Come
you're
hang out in the circus.
yeah, if you're interested in booking a one-on-one session with me, or looking into mentorship, you can email my team. I'll put all the info for that in the show notes below as well. And with all that being said, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to my very first hour-long podcast episode.
Wow, she tore the
Danielle
band-aid off.
McCleerey. Yes, we love it. Not surprised at all. I love you. I am so grateful for you for being a part of my podcasting journey. And we will chat soon. Bye.
Love ya. Bye.